Hello, Toolboxers. Welcome to episode 299 of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. We're doing our best to improve your law practice and your life. And to do that, today's interview is going to be with a former lawyer for DOS. Going to be very interesting. They're in private practice now. You can learn a lot from this person and also reach out to them. It's always really good. I want to thank all the listeners and all the sponsors for the magazine, for the courses, for everything that we do. Our current sponsor, much appreciated, is Serenade, a technology company that has been a transformative leader in the immigration space for almost 30 years. You all know them already, but e-immigration, the software they have for our form system and more, is a modern practice management software for immigration-focused legal professionals to manage their cases, clients, forms, billing, and much more in an all-in-one solution with intuitive interface and bank-grade security, which is needed nowadays. The software is trusted by tens of thousands of happy attorneys and paralegals use it to save hours of time for both themselves and their clients. I know a lot of people do it. We have a software. Immigration has the highest rating for immigration software on the most popular software review website, Capterra. And this stuff includes most likely recommend, best support, best easy to use, best value, and a handful of other awards. So it's really worth checking out. One last thing that separates e-immigration from the rest is this comprehensive across the 100 features platform. This includes features you might not use today, but can save you time, like e-filing system. It's the only platform that offers e-filing for all USCIS forms. So stop paying for multiple software and let e-immigration handle all your practice needs. To get more information, schedule a private demo. That's the best way to do it. Do it today by visiting Serenade's website or calling 1-800-617-4202 or emailing sales@serenade.com. That's Serenade with the C. It'll come up if you search it. So it's part of the toolbox to have these kind of tools. And we're really appreciative of these sponsors who provide these stuff. And on our end, Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, education is always the key. So we're updating the marriage green card course. It's going to be packed full of stuff. We might just end up doing it live. So I really recommend if you want to sign up for it beforehand, well, just a good pricing for those who watch live probably, but email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com to get that. If you want to join our private group, which we post, educational videos on marketing and training, all this kind of stuff, it's free. You have to be an immigration lawyer to join the team, but we have a video we just did about marketing on TikTok with Marina Topolsky. What's Marina? We call her immigration lawyer Marina, but if you know her, you know her. If you don't, you got to get to know her. Send me your email and your bar number. We can add you to the circle.so group. That's a community page that has these videos for free about Iranian immigration. If you're going to handle an Iranian client, you have to know this information. We have a CLE on that you can check out. So thank you. We're going to enjoy this interview. If you haven't already, leave a 5-star review wherever you're watching this to help support the podcast. Having said that, none of this is intended for individual legal guidance. Consult with an immigration attorney for your case, but this show's not intended for the regular audience, regular people. It's for an audience of immigration lawyers, so I hope you enjoy it. Hey, Chloe, it's really good to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show. You have such an interesting background. As soon as I heard you're available, I'm like, well, let's jump in and get it started. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. My pleasure. Really great to meet you.
So you're an attorney. You work for the State Department. Now you're part of a firm doing a lot of DOS kind of stuff, especially with delays. But I kind of want to just get back to where it all started. How did you get involved, decide to go the law route?
Well, I would say deciding to go the immigration route actually came first. Yeah, my family was involved in sponsoring refugees when I was very young, and I remember really viscerally going to help some kids register for school, and they didn't have birth certificates. They had documents with C-suite dates. They were coming from Vietnam, and that left a huge impression on me. That being so young, that people had already come so far through something so difficult was really profound. And their experiences and speaking different languages. And so from an early age, I thought, I want to do that. This is really fascinating. There is, of course, a huge ability to help people. But I get a great satisfaction out of sort of helping people meet those goals, but also the interactions with other cultures, learning other languages, and the travel. So that all spoke to me, and I thought, okay, the good way to do that is through the law. So here I am.
Once you graduated, did you go straight into DOS, or did you do other stuff first?
Yeah, I actually I started first with private practice. Doing a lot. It's very common as a young lawyer. If you want to get into court, you're going to start in immigration court.
Yeah.
they'll let a lot of people without experience jump right in there. So did a lot of criminal asylum and those kinds of proceedings in court. From there, I thought, okay, let's learn the corporate side. So I went to a different firm, learned a lot about employment immigration that way. Then one day I was presenting in an AILA panel, and someone from the office that I worked in for a long time approached me and said, "Have you ever thought about working at the State Department?" And I said, honestly, no, I hadn't. So that's how I ended up there.
How long were you practicing immigration law before making the switch?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So where did you start at State, and where did that turn into? What kind of work were you doing?
Yeah, of course. So I started as counsel for the visa office, which is part of the Bureau of Consular Affairs. For people not familiar with State Department operations, that's passports and visas, right? And a little bit of assistance to U.S. citizens overseas. That can become quite high profile. Adoptions, things like that. So started there as counsel, focused primarily on Africa, that part of the world, helping consular officers there. That as an attorney for the Bureau of Consular Affairs, consular officers around the world, as many of your listeners might be aware, mostly are not lawyers, right? But every day they have to apply a huge body of immigration law to what they are doing, nationality, visas, everything. And that's not an easy job. They do receive training before they head out. But in 6 weeks, you can't sort of go over everything that someone's going to encounter. And so I think the Bureau of Consular Affairs is very smart, has now that office grew in my tenure there, a large number of dedicated attorneys who are providing that assistance day in and day out to consular officers to make sure that they have the support they need to get the job done right.
Were you working in DC?
Yeah, I was based in DC. That's where, obviously the headquarters are, but everyone in our office is also a consular officer, gets consular commission. So I spent a lot of time overseas as well. So I adjudicated or supervised adjudications in South America, the Caribbean, Europe,
Which
Russia,
country specifically?
Africa.
Was it just regions or specific embassies or consulates?
Yeah, specific embassies and consulates. Like we would do some regional training and some worldwide trainings as well. But been at a lot of embassies and consulates overseas. Amazing experience.
I mean, you would actually be in the embassy doing interviews and stuff like that?
Yeah, sometimes or acting as consular supervisor, depending on what the need is, either there at the consular section or some interest the department might have had.
Which particular post were you put in?
How much time do you have?
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, so because I usually you're there for like 2 years and stuff like that. I mean, you were part of State for I think 12, 15 years, something like that. So
60,
you moved
yeah,
around a lot.
Yeah, I would go on shorter assignments, usually to fill in staffing gaps or address certain concerns. So I did not spend 2 years at a time in those locations, but enough time to have some interesting experiences and really enjoy the work. And it was always very fulfilling to roll up their sleeves and spend time with consular officers who I think all have their hearts in the right place and are trying to get the job done right.
And which languages did you learn to speak?
The only one that I really feel great about interviewing in is Spanish. I speak mostly what I would call African market French. I can engage in some hard negotiations. Like when I adjudicated in Russia, I either did visa classifications where they spoke English or needed to, like students and J's, or I would use a translator like across West Africa. Although French might be the dominant language, you can have a large number of applicants who French is not really a language they feel comfortable interviewing in, particularly on the immigrant visa side. So used a lot of translators.
When were you in Russia?
That was in 2012.
Okay, so it's still operations were normal in 2012 still, right?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by normal in Russia, but it was not the current state of play. Where we offer only diplomatic. The U.S. only offers diplomatic visa services in Russia at this time. Yeah.
I'm handling. I mean, there's a client I have. I did a marriage case, one of the last ones to get done in Moscow before they shut it down for her visas. And she had her dad's case that was pending with another firm, but they just leave it. So she came from me the marriage case. Marriage case is done, and we have a relationship. We talk. She said they issued the dad's immigrant visa in Moscow last month. It made some sort of exception, so I was very surprised to hear that because it's almost possible to get that they're in Moscow right now. So
I think the case was pending for so long they just gave in and like, let's give this guy a visa or something. But obviously, you go to Poland or Kazakhstan and Tajikistan right now. It's such a mess, right? It was the Moscow situation. But yeah, I deal with Iranian cases, Russian cases, and it's always been a whole career. It's like a whole different thing to deal with those kind of cases because of all the complexity with state and issuance. So I am interested in kind of learning specifically. So, tell me some ups and downs of the post you're in. I mean, you're dealing with the legal side too, where people come to you about law. Would you get any frustrated attorneys contact? Are you LegalNet? Are you the person that would be LegalNet?
Our office was LegalNet, but it can be handled by any number of attorneys or individuals in the office. Yeah, do receive those LegalNet inquiries. And, a LegalNet inquiry, sometimes it's pretty straightforward, right? Mm-hmm. Take a look at it and say, oh, no, the consular officer got it right, or no, the consular officer got it wrong. Very often it does require some back and forth with the consular section, sort of saying like, hey, it's not really clear to me what this finding is based on, and working through it. So those can certainly take a while. And I know that's very frustrating because that process is opaque. But it's also, I would say, if you've submitted a LegalNet to any attorney, use that also as raising awareness for what the client should have shown up with at the interview. Yeah. Right. So many times I saw something was attached to LegalNet that was never presented to the consular officer. Right. Like, actually, their removal order was rescinded. Okay, well, that would not be available to the consular officer unless you provided this information. So you're right, but best practice would have been to do this up front. Same with criminal convictions and things like that. Like, if an attorney is aware someone has a criminal conviction, the client should show up with that briefed, right? Why this is or is not a crime involving moral turpitude, why this is or is not an aggravated felony. Because again, consular officers are not lawyers. They're also very busy, right? We know about the expended wait times, and what they want to focus on is people who are eligible. They want to put issuable cases on the plane, right? And be done with it. And so, the easier you can make the job for the consular officer up front, the less likely you're going to land in LegalNet territory or trying to address it later.
Now, when did you leave your position?
I left in last month.
Last month. So fresh.
Yeah.
So to the extent stuff you could talk about, obviously, like one of the biggest problems is the backlog that's happening. For example, Pakistan getting an interview taking like 2 years, and there's a lot of lawsuits happening. When they do sue state, are you involved in that, or it just kind of goes to DOJ, I guess, or something like that? Whatever. Who handles that? How do you ever have to run in with that?
When the Department of State is named in litigation, the majority of the time, attorneys are assigned at the Department of State to provide support through the Department of Justice for the defense of that suit. Now, plenty of times there are cases that might name the State Department erroneously. Like, we used to get cases over an N-400 delay. Sort of like, what do you want the State Department to do with that? You might not be familiar with immigration law. But generally do work with the Department of Justice. Occasionally, State Department attorneys have, received that SAUSA designation to, in fact, directly handle the case. But the Department of Justice, generally, they are, generalists, right? So they need that subject matter expertise from Department of State attorneys to address, the subject of the litigation.
And so, I mean, I'm assuming you were seeing like massive increase in these lawsuits over timeline delays and stuff. What other, I'm assuming that would get correct because this is how it's been the last couple of years. What other trends were you seeing in denials or refusals and stuff that were popping up before you left?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say the litigation always focuses on things that can't get fixed some other way.
Yeah.
Right. So you're on backlogs. That exists. Right. Until Congress is going to allocate more money and we're going to expand the footprints of embassies and consulates all overseas, there's just not going to be more capacity there. And there is a huge pent up demand. So you can't, those are things that you can't change. And even if Congress were to say, okay, here's $1 billion, build larger consular sections overseas, we all know how long that would take. Right. Yeah, so nobody wants to wait. So they're going to sue. Right. Like, well, but maybe my client could get to the front of the line if I sue. And the other things that really can't be changed. So, after the EB-5 provisions had sunset, We got some suits saying, yeah, I mean, we know the law ended, but like maybe it didn't. Maybe somehow you could keep going. Because, no one knew when Congress was or was not going to reenact that or what it would look like. And, are your clients going to be left out in the cold because Congress, did that to the program? So all of those kinds of things, like, or visa eligibility grants that can't be waived. What else are you going to try, right? Yeah. you might as well try it on. If a client comes to you and is like, yeah, what do I do? They say I have to be outside the US for 10 years because I'm ineligible under 212A9C. Okay, well, let's try, they can investigate the facts. They can, do that. But, or they can be like, well, let's try a legal theory as to why you're not an eligible 9C that DHS has never signed off on, so the agency is not going to go with, but we'll sue and see if, the Ninth Circuit will bite on it.
Now, what about admin processing delays, especially like, West Asia, South Asia, where you see these get stuck and stuff? Is there anything that you recommend people doing to avoid it, or is it just you can't have any control?
Yeah. Well, for administrative processing, there is a large element of that that's going to be outside of folks' control and even often outside the Department of State's control, right? So yeah, bring your patience. But there are some other things because administrative processing is anything that really can't be disclosed to the applicant, right? So think about national security, think about fraud, things like that. So if you, for example, have someone who's previously had a visa revoked, that's not going to be easy. I think do due diligence there. Like what exactly happened? What was the concern? Do the FOIA, get the I-275, read through what was said, and then send them in ready to address that, right? Like, again, anything you can do to make the consular officer's life easier up front, that's going to make things go more smoothly. And, the government has been very upfront. They've rolled out some changes. They know that administrative processing times are too long, and that's very frustrating. So they made a lot of changes over the last year, a little bit of growing pains with that, right? To try and bring the number of cases subject to administrative processing down and to smooth that out. So, we certainly, at least when I was on the government side, we're seeing big gains there. And I hope that continues. It's a little hard because, of course, demand is also likewise continuing on a very solid upward trajectory. So I think just watching those trends and, again, working with the clients, manage their expectations a little bit, but make sure ahead of time exactly what's going on. Like you said, you work with Iranians. Iranian males are subject to compulsory military service, right? Let's not, don't send your client in pretending that didn't happen or it maybe won't be an issue, right? Prepare them for that. Like have them have everything ready to go. Don't have them come back and say like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have my military card and go through what happened. No, have them have that ready to go because otherwise it's just going to delay it. If the consular officer says, well, I need to understand more about your military service. Where are the documents? Tell me what happened. And they're like, oh, well, they're at home and I'll send them later. And then a month goes by and they send them in. And then now it's not in the front of the consular officer's mind, right? Set it to the side and so I think those are all things we're never going to get away from some kind of delay, right? There's always going to be something. But there are ways to bring that down, I think, through diligent counsel and effort on behalf of the client.
Did you work in the embassies the Iranians deal with, Turkey, UAE, or Armenia?
No, I never adjudicated visas in those three. I don't have Farsi. And the State Department does have Farsi speakers and Iranian experts on the ground in the three you mentioned.
Well, now that you're on this side, you're back on this side of the aisle. You're going to be seeing a whole different perspective. Like, pulling your hair out. Like, why is it taking so long? Because the clients are going to start getting frustrated at you. But you started this new endeavor, JetrGlobal. We've with your not legal associate, but the corporate associate that you have that has a separate company. But you've developed this law firm now with Jetter. What is your goals and what is the mission of the new firm?
I think the mission really is just to bring that level of expertise on both sides, both with the State Department, immigration law, and experience with sports, to really deliver results for athletes and teams and events. So we have, worked already with a number of course, individual players, but also with events and directly with leagues on their concerns. Leagues that I think most leagues are looking to continue to expand overseas. Always good to grow the U.S. market, but look around the world and there are billions more people who are or could be interested in that sport. And it goes hand in hand building fan base as well as your talent pipeline, right? You see the number of foreign players in the NFL only growing.
Yeah.
Of course, the NBA with Wemby going number one, that's a huge win for, a strategy started many, many years ago about building talent and fans overseas. So really looking to just help those leagues, those events, and those players deliver those results in a very new environment, right? It's really interesting how many people I've talked to in private practice who are talking like it's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I sort of say, that's not how it works anymore. So really help facilitate, through those changing times, the best way to approach and make sure everyone's on the field or on the pitch or on the track where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be.
Well, it's a stressful thing when these deadlines, big companies need someone in immediately, and things are in admin processing, but it creates a lot of pressure because there's timelines. But that's what you're here for. Where are you going to be headquartered? And obviously, all our work is online, so you could take clients from anywhere in the world. But where are you headquartered in?
So Jetter Law is headquartered both in Colorado and California. So yeah, we have 2 partners in addition to our staff, and most of us are going to remain virtual, at least for the foreseeable future. Just help us keep overhead down and be nimble. And again, we're dealing already with so many pieces internationally. So that's been helpful. Still time on the road, which I enjoy. So
now your firm is new, so it's still getting up and running with the website and everything. I thought you were the main lawyer there. You said you have partners. How does it look like right now?
Yeah, so Tyler and I are the 2 partners. Our website should be up and running in another, I think, week or so. We got that all built out, and also just to help people understand sort of how we work with JetrGlobal Partners, the consultancy that's existed, as well as make clear that we are a separate legal entity. Right. We will work closely to sort of provide that full spectrum of service on the consultancy as well as the legal side. But there is that separation there for ethics reasons.
Yeah, JetrGlobal is a non-law firm. I did an interview with Travis Murthy. It's in our backlog and library of interviews. And he was a state as well, a lot of experience there. You connected, so let's talk and get to know more about yourself. I love having former consular officers and DOS people here to give that other side of the perspective, because there's a lot going on. It seems like a black hole, but there's a reason for why everything happens a lot of time. And unfortunately, you guys can't reveal everything to me. I talk with friends here that are private practice, and I start digging into, the Visa Donkey. What are these animal names they put on these things? Like, oh, we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. And then I'm like, so trying to pick pieces of information to see what in the world's going on here to help tell our clients at least so they can calm down or give perspective is always helpful. So I really appreciate coming on. Your website, Jetter Law, JetrLaw.com, and obviously Chloe is your name. Thanks so much. How do you pronounce it? Is it Dybdahl?
Dybdahl. Yeah. Thank you, Danish forebears. And I guess there were some of the few who slipped by at Ellis Island without having their last name cleaned up. So
for sure, it was really good to meet you. If people want to reach out, Chloe at Jetter Law is the email, and I'm sure we're going to have you back on the show and talk about more stuff. So keep us posted on all your activities.
Absolutely, it was such a pleasure to meet you and speak with you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thanks so much. Stay on the line for a quick minute. We'll talk a little bit more, but thank you everyone for watching, and we'll hear more about it soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have you ever felt that the road to establishing a successful immigration law firm is riddled with unexpected obstacles and setbacks? I've been there, and I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. Picture this. My wife, then girlfriend, and I had just landed for a vacation, only to be greeted by a voicemail that changed everything. In an instant, once the plane landed, she lost her job. The very one job that was supposed to support us while I launched my own solo immigration law firm. Suddenly, our financial cushion vanished, and I was thrust into the high-stakes world of entrepreneurship with no safety net. Despite a slow start and a discouraging lack of leads and referrals, I remained determined to build a law firm that provided a 5-star client experience. After countless hours spent researching, watching, and implementing marketing strategies with mixed results, I eventually began to see my firm's revenues not only surpass my previous revenue and salary as an associate, but double it. Today, I run a successful law firm with a team of associates and support staff, and I'm the proud founder of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, podcasts, courses, workshops, and more. But my journey wasn't easy. I made many mistakes, wasted time and money, and wished I had a mentor to guide me through the challenges. Although I was fortunate enough to find a few peers who offered support, I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be a better way. That's why I decided to be the change I'd wish I'd seen. This month, I'm thrilled to announce the launch of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox private mentorship and peer group. This exclusive group is designed to bring solo and small firm practitioners in a monthly, private, and intimate setting to openly discuss business strategies, share successes, even exchange invaluable tactics that they wouldn't share anywhere else. By joining this premium group, you'll not only benefit from my hard-earned expertise, but also forging long-lasting relationships with like-minded professionals who are committed to elevating their practices. Space is limited for this game-changing opportunity. If you're ready to make a real, lasting impact on your business, simply email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Again, that's info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. And I'll send you all the information you need to get started. Don't miss this chance to transform your immigration law firm and reach new heights of success.